Alright, we're back once again. 51st video. Well, as you can see, as much as I like this shirt here that I'm wearing, it seems to rather enjoy creating its own, it's like breaking its own laws of physics by somehow going this way. I don't really know what is happening here. I'm a bit confused. But it seems like even material clothing wants to create its own reality. But yeah, let's get down to business, man. Alright, in yesterday's session we talked about the destruction of the concepts of heaven and hell, and I hope a lot of you were able to follow me on that, because yeah, that was just one wild ranting of a madman in Japan. Me. A man who's not really a man, but a multi-dimensional entity. I'm just kidding. I lost it for a minute. Boasting myself. But anyway, yeah, so we had this concept that we had to destroy. Because it's rather limiting and it doesn't really do much for us. Now, back in some of my earlier videos, I went into this idea of creating your own astral. This went back to like an astral temple and creating your own reality, which it's all really connected. I don't know what video that was. I'll see if I can pull it up right now. But in that video that I'm talking about now, I believe I went into the idea of creating your own reality in what has been deemed the astral realm, astral plane. These things, they don't really have any titles. It's just energy. Everything is just energy. In the universe, we're all here. Everyone is alive. Everyone's consciousness. Everything's consciousness. Even this book is conscious. I mean, everything. As you can see, my shirt has its own form of consciousness. It wants to break the laws of physics, try to ruin my video. Hey, that's what's going on. Alright, so I'm looking here right now on my iPad. Let's see, what do I got coming up here? Astral sex. No. Alright, well, yeah, it was video 10. Except SUMARI Dark Arts 10. 3 out-of-body forms, astral sex, creating your own astral inner temple city. Now, I don't remember what I talked about in that video, but I'm sure it probably was interesting because I made it. But yeah, the purpose of that. What is the purpose of creating this inner city? Now, if you want to get into this in detail, right, you have to understand that basically everything originates from our inner reality. And everything is an electromagnetic reality. Everything has its own electromagnetic signature. So when you have thoughts and what you perceive as the mind or imagination, these things actually manifest in their own realities. Now, we've discussed this a lot before, so I don't want to dwell on that too much, but if you didn't know, very briefly, everything you think about, every possibility, every probability, it manifests in another realm of reality. And everything we have now in existence came from the imagination realm of creativity from some conscious entity of being in the universe, and that's why we have it here. If we didn't, it didn't just manifest itself out of nothing. It had its own purpose, whether that came from the actual entity, aka person, individual that created it, or if that energy itself wanted to come to this reality and basically use someone as in the medium to produce itself into this reality. I believe strongly that that's what music is. Music is actually an entity force that put the idea and the concepts of musical instruments into this reality because it couldn't have manifested itself any other way. So this is why we have guitars, flutes, pianos, cello, all these different, all types of musical instruments, because that sound that represents those, the sounds that represent those instruments wanted to become manifest, so they kind of found a medium and came through someone to produce an instrument that could be kind of the gateway into this reality. And if you really want to think about music, music is a gateway into from other dimensions of reality into our reality. And it doesn't matter what kind of music it is, it's always going to find a medium to come through. And that medium will translate the sounds and the beats and the rhythms of what it perceives into its own perception, and then it will bring it here. So like what I mean by that is like sometimes a lot of the music that we get, its original form most likely will be completely different from what we get. So just say for example like the guitar, rock and roll, reggae, blues, all great music. I love all that stuff. It's all good. And those sounds though, what I'm saying is that in their original form probably sound very different from what we get. But of course, as everything, when anything that's perceived and coming from other realms of reality will always be subjected to distortion. Not meaning distortion, usually people think distortion means a bad thing. Distortion just means it will be changed to fit into the reality that it's coming into so that it could be accepted. It has to come through in a form that we can accept with our perceived five senses, and something that we can accept as a form of reality. It won't come in as anything that we can't perceive as being real. So the sounds of the beautiful guitar probably have a completely different sound, but in its natural state we won't be able to perceive it with our physical mechanisms of the five senses. So it has to come through how we are familiar with the sound of guitar. So yeah, back to this creating your own inner world. So all worlds are manifested in this inner reality, and when we get them, we have to really think about like, wow, okay, so it's like these ideas of Atlantis, right? I mean, according to history and writings, the idea of Atlantis has been around for a long time. Many people have come up with this idea. I don't know, was it Plato or Aristotle? I believe it was Plato. I'm not sure. Check it. I mean, when I bring up historical facts, I don't get too crazy about details because everything's possible. And one reality was Plato, another was Aristotle, another was Big Bird, Cookie Monster. They've all imagined an Atlantis in some realm of reality. So the point I'm making is that at that time, and they had this vision of this place called Atlantis. Now, Atlantis could have been an actual place. It could have been something that they've envisioned. It could have been something they saw while getting high. We don't know. We weren't there. The bottom line, though, is that if it was an actual physical place, this was something that they tapped into. And we're still talking about Atlantis today. People are still talking about the hunt for Atlantis, as if this was an actual place. Like I said, it could have been. You see, it's like this is where it gets confusing, because you can say, well, it could have been real, it couldn't have been real. It could have been just a figment of one's imagination. But what is imagination? I've talked about that in other videos. Everything is real, basically. All things are real. Everything that if you can imagine it, it's real. And this is where we get confused. Just because it doesn't appear in physical, concrete terms that a scientist or a team of specialists can analyze, we tend to think, well, that's not real. And these things are real. They do manifest. This is why the study of your own dreams is so important, because it starts to break down like these concepts that physicists and all these people throw at us. What's real, what's not real. I mean, what is real? How do I know? How do you know I'm real? I mean, I could just be a figment of your wild, perverted imagination. And I probably am. But you never know. I mean, anything's possible. So, in a realm of, sorry, I'm just keeping track of this time. In the realm of infinite possibilities, anything can happen, man. So, why I focus on this idea of creating your own reality is because, like, let's say if I'll just give you one example, right? And these are some wild things that even I get into and truly believe. These concepts, right? Okay, heaven and hell. So we all have loved ones, right? We're all in this reality together. We love people, family members that we have now, while we're in this physical reality. People that have raised us, people we take care of, people that have taken care of us. We all think like, oh, if my mom dies, is she going to heaven? Is she going to hell? Oh, if my dad leaves, what's going to happen to him? Things like that. My kids, my children. And if, let's just say, if your family members may have had some kind of adventures in their life that society might not, approve of quite, easily, like drugs, selling drugs, violence. I mean, everyone has good in them, and these are just experiences, and unfortunately, some people get into. Um, and if they've done these things, if you try to follow like some strict religious code, you'd be like, oh, my dad, he did crack back in the days, and then my mom was an alcoholic, or if you think like that, you're like, okay, she's definitely going to hell. But it's like, that idea, see, that concept in itself could really like fuck with your head, because you're like, oh my god, my mom's burning hell right now, because she, left me when I was a kid and stuff like that, man. But if you follow what I'm saying, no, I manifest my own reality, man, and you create your own reality no matter what reality you're in. You're creating this reality right now, and this continues even when you go into the so-called afterlife, right? So, what I'm getting at is, when you leave this reality, right? Like right now, yeah, we say, yeah, we have the power to manifest our reality. But why aren't you a fucking millionaire, man? Why don't you have, where's your bling? Where's your golden rims and your fucking magic hat? But once again, that's all nice, but that's falling in. If I try to base my reality creation skills on that, that's mostly just me trying to fit into someone else's reality of their perception of wealth and success. So yeah, I mean, if I really wanted golden rims and shit like that, I could most likely get it, but that's not my perception of what success is, so I don't strive to those things. To each his own. But as long as we're here in physical reality, see, like, yeah, we have this power, but we're also limited. Like, if I want to have a fucking castle, I can't just say, alright, I'm gonna get a castle right now, and then a castle manifests. It doesn't happen that way. But me just saying that thought 1 second ago, have a castle manifest, in another reality, at that moment, at this very moment right now that you're watching this video, a castle has manifested itself, and it has its own reality, and it will continue for eternity and grow on its own. Now, I can't access that castle anytime I want. I can go there right now as I'm talking to you. Boom, I just did it. And having a merry adventure there. But the point is, every thought, the smallest thought that you think of comes to fruition. It comes out and it manifests in these places. So, why not, going back to what I was talking about before, about worrying about loved ones and when they pass away, if you worry about them that much, if they're not into like this realm of thinking, they're not really spiritual people and things like that. I mean, when you die, you don't magically become like, oh, I'm this one spiritual being with the universe, I have all the answers. I mean, you're pretty much the same as you are here now. Why not create a reality for those people to go to, whether they be friends, foe, family, enemies, whatever. Create a nice place for them to go to. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like fucking, fairies and leprechauns waiting for them, greeting them at gates and shit. I mean, you can make that if you want, but why not create a reality that can accommodate people like that, where you could actually take part in training them. When you hear people pass away, right, or have these near-death experiences, you hear things like, a lot of people can't understand near-death experiences because sometimes, you get the typical, alright, there was a bright light in a tunnel, and then I went through the light, and then they say, oh, my grandparents were there, my father was there, my fucking uncle, Benny the dog was there. You see all these things, but sometimes you get these rare cases where people are like, yeah, it was kind of, I didn't understand it because I went through the light, and then I saw my mother, who basically is still alive in this reality, but she was there greeting me on the other side. How is that possible? And I'll give you just one explanation for it. All time is simultaneous. So, yeah, even though that person's mother is alive here in this physical reality, in his moment point of time and space, his nexus, when he went into that other reality, this bright light and all this stuff, he's outside of all concepts of time and space. So that could have been his mother in this other realm that he crossed over into, with a future version of his mother, a portion of her entity that in that non-official timeline, official space of consciousness, She already passed away, and that's a portion of her that was greeting him and telling him, go back, or it's not your time yet, and all this stuff. But I mean, it could be many things. It could be just us, the SUMARI, greeting him in a form that he could accept, to gently guide him back to his body. It could be a thought form that he's projected, or it could be just his actual mother, a portion of her entity that's already at that point, trying to help him out. That's for that individual to think on and to meditate on. But yeah, you could actually create your own inner reality. I mean, it's not about creating. You've already created it. It's already in effect. This goes into what I would like to deem as psychological real estate, mental real estate. Everything is location, 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 right? This is what they tell us when it comes to real estate. Well, why not start investing in your psychological real estate? Why not start investing in your own mental landscape? You have lands of the mind that run for eternity, infinite. When you go into a dream, right, or your meditation state, you never really hit against any barriers. Shit just keeps going and going and going. It never ends. There's no end to it. I mean, you could run into some kind of scenario where in a dream or whatever you can't get out of a room or you're trapped. But basically, if you don't have those problems, infinite reality just keeps going on eternally. So this is yours, man. This is your stuff. This belongs to you. So you're not buying up your mental landscape. You're not buying your mental real estate, your psychological reality, your psychological real estate. You're not getting it. You're not accepting it or taking ownership of it. So who takes ownership of it? I don't know. Media, what Justin Bieber's eating for breakfast, what this person had, what kind of fucking socks they wear, and who's blowing who. All that stuff takes up spaces in your psychological real estate. And the more and more you take on, the more and more it uses up all that space. And the less you have access to your own power. So, yeah, that's the session for today. Start investing in your own psychological real estate. It's time to start claiming it, man. It's there. Nobody's claiming it except outside entities and bullshit nonsense that wants to take hold in that space like a squatter and not leave, and turn your mental landscape into like a multi-dimensional crack house. So yeah, man, that's what you gotta do. I gotta keep this video short because it might take a long time to load, but yeah, start buying up your psychological real estate, man. Don't let it go to waste. And these realities that I talk about, like I said, fuck heaven, fuck hell. Start manifesting your own realities where, I mean, you could help those in need who, when they pass away, they don't know where to go. They have no place to go. They feel there's no option. There's only a heaven and hell scenario. What are they going to do? You could assist them in that way. I know I've been doing it for a long time, and it works for me, it works for them, it helps people out. And I'll leave it at that for now. I'll pick back up in a minute. I'll try to get another video out. Alright. SETH SUMARI to all of you out there. And yeah, I'll get back at you.